So, niche genres was kind of the rise of the self publishing industry, in my opinion. I think that a lot of success was found in these niche genres. Um, and there's several examples of it in special places where you can go to find specific materials. One being the LGBTQ fiction. That started as a niche genre. It's a lot more mainstream now, but it started as niche. Cozy mysteries is huge. That market is enormous. Um, the amateur small town sleuth that uncovers, the mystery. A lot of people like to read that. You cuddle up by the fire and read about, something that could be going on in your hometown, which is very interesting to people because it's, relatable. It's relatable fiction. Lit RPG and game lit. This is also a huge niche genre, and I actually have a book coming out for my Titan home that is basically, it's the characters in my game. They are the player characters, and it's pretty much like a story, a quest that they go through, so you can actually, see these player characters in action, and then you can play them yourself with the board game. So it's kind of neat. And a lot of, the gaming industry is huge. Obviously, I have crossover products with board games and RPGs, which kind of ties into all of that as well. Clean romance is a niche genre. So it's it's more about the emotional connection and not all of the explicit smut. But that is, erotica and whatnot is a niche genre as well. And people look for that as well, almost as much as any of these others. That's a whole genre too. Paranormal fantasy is huge. Anything, not paranormal fantasy, paranormal romance, sorry, is huge genre. And they seem to be voracious readers. They do a lot of reading. Afrofuturism is another niche that has been rising in popularity. I've seen a lot of it. I've seen a lot of it on Kickstarter for some RPG settings. And so they are like exploring themes of African culture, history, and mythology with kind of a futuristic twist to it. So think like Black Panther and Wakanda. So that is kind of a rising genre as well. And I have to say, I've seen some really good stuff come from that niche genre. Really interesting and stuff you don't get all the time. So I find it fascinating. So, finding some of these self-publishing platforms to where you can market your books to these specific niche readers. There's a couple of them. Let's see, Radish Fiction. So it caters to serial fiction, particularly in genres like romance, fantasy, and young adult. So you explore stories in episodes. Recently, KDP released their Vellas, which is basically the same thing. You release smaller episodes. It's episodic fiction. And I do have like my Titan home. That book is episodes. And so I release an episode every month. And then once I get all the episodes done, then I will compile them all into an actual book. I think I have like 40 episodes written, and I just finished outlining. I think I'm up to like 50. So by the time I'm done, I'm thinking it's going to be 60, 65. It's going to be a pretty thick book whenever it gets done. But it started out as episodic fiction that each month there was a new episode or chapter in that book. Let's see. Wattpad, a major platform for young adult and new adult fiction, mostly fantasy and romance. Royal Road, catering to the lit RPG and fantasy genres. Swoon Reads is for young adult romances, so you're going to have some of the cleaner romance there. Lean Pub is nonfiction, so mostly technical books. But you can see, like, there are platforms out there. I'm not saying that every niche genre has a specialized platform, but it warrants taking a look at it to see if it is. And then you have tapping underserved markets. So there is a rise of multicultural and bilingual books. So the bilingual books may have more than one language in the book and catered towards bilingual readers, which is an interesting concept. But there's a lot of bilingual individuals out there. And so that would be a niche market for somebody for sure. Multicultural romances. That's a spot. You can make some money there, I think. Disability representation is another one. Again, doing it correctly. I've seen some positive portrayals, and then I've seen some portrayals that are not so great. So if you're going to do that, the one that I know, his daughter actually is disabled. And so, writing from something that you have firsthand knowledge of is always helpful. If you're not writing from firsthand knowledge, I would definitely be doing some research and be talking to some people with the disability that you're writing about, just to make sure that you are correctly depicting it, and that you want to make sure that you're doing it correctly, and that representation is depicted accurately. Environmental and climate fiction. We're seeing a lot of this. I just had another author ran an RPG on Kickstarter, and it was kind of a climate change kind of RPG. It did not end up getting funded, but I don't think that it wasn't because of the niche genre that it was in. I think it was because it was a little unclear on the premise of the RPG. I don't think it was adequately described in the description. Like, everything looked good. It was just, I was kind of questioning. I don't understand what's the point of this game. And if I'm asking that question, then others out there probably are too. And so I think that there's definitely a spot for it. I just think that it wasn't executed correctly. I think if they changed a few things and ran it again, I think it would work. Faith-based fiction. I know that people tend to stray away from that hot button topic of religion nowadays. But there are people that kind of want those morals and values in the books that they read. And so there are books that are focused around spirituality, mortality, personal growth, morals and values, and that align with their specific religious beliefs. So there's definitely a genre there that you could pick up on. And then senior and retiree fiction. Again, that's a huge event in somebody's life, retiring from work, and aging, having life experiences. And so those can be very enriching stories and can be marketed towards older individuals, as long as, again, you understand the subject matter and can translate that well into the pages. So late in life romances, cozy mystery, older sleuth, think like Murder, She Wrote or something like that. Those can be, that can be a great genre as well. So again, taking a look at some of these markets and where your book might fall, or maybe this triggers an idea for a story that might be in one of these niche genres. Now, don't create something especially for this just because you want to check the box. Do it because it's actually a good story that you want to tell and that you're passionate about it. And do not chase whatever the trend is today, because by the time you get it written and edited and published, that ship will have sailed, because the market works so fast that no matter how fast you can get it out, it will eventually come back around. So just write what you're passionate about and write what you want to write. There is an audience out there for it. You just might not find it right away. You might have to look for them.